Yeah, let's talk first of all about the situation with Jon Gruden. Jon Gruden lost his head coaching job while with the Raiders because of emails that he had written criticizing Roger Goodell, homophobic comments, etc. He made those emails to Bruce Allen, the former president of the Washington Commanders. They all got fired. Well, he has sued the NFL. He has charged the Goodell and the NFL league office. It's the one that leaked all the emails to public that got him fired. Well, they filed a lawsuit. It went to the Nevada Court of Appeals. They threw it out of court. They said, you were an employee of the Raiders. You know the collective bargaining agreement. If there's any dispute about contracts, it has to go back to arbitration, NFL arbitration. And guess who is the arbitrator in the arbitration cases? The guy that's being sued, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell. So that's where we are with that situation. This is going to take forever. By the way, there's $60 million still owed to Jon Gruden because of the termination of his Raider contract. The second item is about the death of the Pac-12. We've talked extensively about that. And of course, going forward in the fall, there'll be only two teams left. It's now the Pac-2, Oregon State Beavers, Washington State Cougars. Well, as they reached the end of the line with the Pac-12 conference that went back to 1915, there was an enormous amount of money in the pot in the Pac-12 coffers, and they had to determine who was going to get that money, what share would go to the teams like USC and UCLA who left to go to the Big Ten, Oregon and Washington, or the schools that jumped, the corner schools that wound up going to the Big 12. There's $255 million that was left behind in the settlement. Oregon State and Washington State jointly are operating the Pac-2 conference for 2 years. Well, those two schools have now decided of the $255 million, they're going to take $40 million apiece because of the damage done by the death of the Pac-12. The $40 million to the Beavers and to the Cougars will go to replace the TV media money they lost. The rest of the money is going to be put into a reserve. And in 2025, I think it's about, I want to say it's $170 million that will be left. That $170 million will be left to be used to lure whatever schools are going to come back in the rebuilt Pac-8. They're going to add 6. And that could be the Aztecs, and it could be Boise, it could be Fresno, it might be Air Force, it may be some of the top schools in the Mountain West, and then whatever else is out there that they might be able to cherry pick, that's what they're going to use, the $170 million. So it's a really interesting story how Oregon State, Washington State, who've been badly damaged, are going to be able to get some of this money back from the Pac-12, and then they're going to put the rest of it in reserves to use to sales pitch the 6 other schools are going to try to lure after the 2025 season. So, John, your reaction on the Beavers, the Cougars, and the Raider Nation.
Well, I'll tell you what, that plan sounds like a good deal for the Pac-12. I mean, the Beavers and the Cougars get a little relief, from all the chaos that was surrounding them. And, yeah, they can buy out some of these other contracts to get some teams in. I want to see a good West Coast conference, and some of those Mountain West teams like the Aztecs deserve to be promoted. I just hope that it becomes a Power 5 conference and not simply a second tier.
Well, you could argue with me at great length, but the problem I have, it sure looks like, it talks like, it walks like Mountain West 2. Does not look like Pac-12. And, to be a Pac-12 team, you're going to need big-time NIL money. And I don't really see that NIL-type money, and I don't know what kind of TV contracts they're going to get going forward if they become part in 2025 of the Pac-8. And what's your take on the whole Gruden situation? His opinion is, I was not in the NFL when these emails were written. I was an employee at ESPN. I should have never been fired, and how dare you leak these emails, etc. I think Gruden's lawsuit has a leg to stand on, John?
Well, Gruden's a bum. I mean, I used to kind of like him, the whole Chucky thing, and we liked him on television. But the more we're learning about this guy, I mean, I'm glad he's gone. But, Lee, did you say he's still getting paid on his deal?
There's $60 million unaccounted for that has not been paid for because he's in the middle of this lawsuit. That's what this lawsuit is all about. Not so much just the hatred for Roger Goodell and what happened in the NFL, but the fact he is owed $60 million from the remainder of the Raiders' contract, and the Raiders could be off the hook if the Gruden thing goes down the drain. Okay, those are all things NFL. Go ahead and laugh at the guy if you wish.
No, I was just going to say, though, that I want one of those jobs. I want to be Monty Williams, and get big money and not have to work. You think that's doable?
Anything's possible, John, in this day and age. Hey,